You were told that Stoicism was about turning your heart to stone. They told you it was a philosophy for the cold, the heartless, and the emotionally repressed. They painted a picture of a man who feels absolutely nothing, who bites his tongue, swallows his pain, and walks through life like a numb, unfeeling robot. They lied. What if everything modern society has taught you about Stoicism is a complete, fabricated illusion? What if this ancient philosophy has nothing to do with suppressing your emotions and everything to do with mastering them? We live in an era of unprecedented emotional fragility. You are surrounded by a society that encourages you to be hyper-reactive, to take offense to every passing comment, to collapse under the slightest pressure, and to outsource your mental health to the chaotic whims of the external world. You have been programmed to believe that every feeling you have is a fact, and that every external provocation deserves a reaction. Stoicism is the brutal, beautiful antidote to this modern sickness. It is not a philosophy of suppression. It is a philosophy of absolute, unshakable sovereignty. It is the operating system of emperors, gladiators, and slaves who decided that no matter what the world did to their bodies, their minds would remain an unconquerable fortress. Welcome to Stoic MindShift. If you are exhausted by the emotional roller coaster of your daily life, if you are tired of being easily provoked, and if you are finally ready to take radical ownership of your inner world, listen on. This is your introduction to the most powerful psychological framework ever created. Before we can build the impenetrable foundation of Stoicism, we must forcefully demolish the illusion that society has built around your mind. You cannot construct a fortress on a swamp, and right now, your psychological landscape is a swamp of conditioned reactivity. From the moment you were born, you were conditioned by a profound and insidious lie. It is the lie that your happiness, your peace, and your internal stability are determined by what happens to you. You were explicitly and implicitly taught that if someone insults you, you must be angry. If you lose your job, you must be devastated. If the economy crashes, or the weather is bad, or the traffic is heavy, your internal state must reflect that external chaos. We live in an era of unprecedented emotional fragility, engineered by a society that monetizes your outrage and profits from your anxiety. You are surrounded by a culture that encourages you to be hyper-reactive, to take deep personal offense to every passing comment, to collapse under the slightest pressure, and to outsource your mental health to the chaotic whims of the external world. You have been programmed to believe that every feeling you have is an undeniable fact, and that every external provocation deserves an immediate, visceral reaction. Look at how the modern world operates. It is an attention economy powered by outrage. The algorithms that govern our digital lives are specifically designed to bypass your logical brain and hijack your amygdala, the fear and anger center of your primitive mind. They feed you a constant stream of manufactured crises to keep you in a perpetual state of low-grade panic. And because you have never been taught how to guard the gates of your own mind, you absorb it all. You let the world dictate your internal temperature. Stoicism shatters this pathetic dynamic. It looks at the world and states one uncompromising, absolute truth: you cannot control the world. But you have absolute, total control over how you respond to it. The Stoic does not try to calm the storm outside. He knows that trying to control the weather is the definition of madness. Instead, he calms the storm inside. He realizes that anger, anxiety, and despair are not things that magically happen to him. They are choices he is actively, albeit unconsciously, making. To become a Stoic is to stop being a helpless victim of circumstance and to start being the ruthless architect of your own reality. It is the realization that between every single stimulus in the world and your response to it, there is a microsecond of space. And in that infinitely small space lies all of your power as a human being. To truly understand the gravitas of Stoicism, you must understand the men who forged it in the fires of reality. This is not a fragile, theoretical philosophy dreamt up by soft academics sitting safely in ivory towers, debating semantics. This is a tactical blueprint for psychological survival, written by men who endured the absolute, terrifying extremes of the human experience. 1. Marcus Aurelius. The emperor and the burden of absolute power. Imagine, for a moment, possessing absolute, unchecked, unadulterated power. You command the greatest military empire the world has ever seen. You can have anyone executed with a mere whisper. You have access to endless wealth, endless pleasure, and endless indulgence. Historically, absolute power corrupts absolutely. It turns men into monsters, tyrants, and hedonistic fools. But Marcus Aurelius was different. He used Stoicism as a tool of radical self-restraint to keep himself grounded. He wrote his famous journal, Meditations, not for publication, not for fame, and not for money. He wrote it as a private, grueling manual of self-correction. He wrote it in military tents on the freezing frontiers of Germania, fighting brutal wars, dealing with the catastrophic Antonine Plague that decimated his empire, and facing the heartbreaking betrayal of his most trusted general, Avidius Cassius. Yet, amidst the unimaginable stress of ruling the world, he maintained a mind of profound, untouchable stillness. He proved that Stoicism works at the absolute, dizzying pinnacle of human success, keeping the ego crushed and the mind clear. 2. Epictetus, the slave who conquered his masters at the exact opposite, darkest end of the human spectrum, was Epictetus. He was not an emperor. He was born into the brutal reality of slavery in the Roman Empire. His very body was legally owned by another human being, a cruel master named Epaphroditos. According to historical accounts, his master violently twisted and broke Epictetus's leg, leaving him crippled and in agony for the rest of his life. If any human being in history had the absolute right to be bitter, to play the victim, to complain about the catastrophic unfairness of the universe, and to drown in a sea of resentment, it was Epictetus. Yet he refused. He became one of the greatest Stoic teachers who ever lived. He taught that while his master legally owned his broken body, no one, not the emperor, not his master, not the gods themselves, could ever own his mind. He stated, "Sickness is a hindrance to the body, but not to your ability to choose, unless that is your choice. Lameness is a hindrance to the leg, but not to your ability to choose." He proved that Stoicism works in the absolute depths of human suffering, oppression, and physical pain. 3. Seneca. The statesman and the art of letting go. Seneca was a man who walked the razor's edge of immense wealth and lethal danger. He was a powerful political advisor in Rome, a playwright, and one of the wealthiest men in the empire. He understood the treacherous, deadly games of politics, the fragility of public reputation, and the fleeting nature of wealth. He knew that the things you own often end up owning you. To combat this, Seneca practiced radical detachment. Despite his massive wealth, he would routinely practice poverty, eating the cheapest food, wearing rough clothes, and sleeping on the floor, just to remind himself that losing everything was nothing to fear. Ultimately, his stoicism was put to the ultimate test. He was falsely accused of a conspiracy by his former pupil, the deranged and tyrannical Emperor Nero, and was ordered to commit suicide. Seneca did not beg. He did not panic. He accepted his fate with complete, unshakable calm, comforting his weeping friends as he bled to death. He taught us about the brevity of life, the dangers of ego, and the vital importance of preparing for the worst so that we are never, ever surprised by it. These three men lived vastly different lives: the emperor, the slave, and the statesman, but they shared the exact same psychological operating system. They had all built the inner citadel. Why is it so incredibly difficult for beginners to actually adopt Stoicism? Why do we still snap in blind anger when we get cut off in traffic, even after reading the brilliant words of Marcus Aurelius? Why do we know what we should do but still fail to do it in the heat of the moment? To understand this, we must briefly merge the ancient wisdom of Stoicism with the deep, penetrating psychology of Carl Jung. Jung taught us about the shadow, the massive unconscious reservoir of our unhealed wounds, our suppressed fears, our insecurities, and our childhood traumas. Most people walk through life completely unaware of their shadow. They think they are rational, logical beings, but in reality, their shadow is driving the car. When someone insults you and you erupt in uncontrollable, shaking rage, you are not actually reacting to their words. You are reacting to your own shadow. The external event simply brushed against a deep, internal bruise that you have refused to heal. The person who triggered you did not give you the anger. They simply revealed the anger that was already sleeping inside of you, waiting for an excuse to explode. Society tells you that Stoicism means gritting your teeth, clenching your fists, and brutally suppressing that trigger. They think Stoicism is about forcing yourself not to feel anything. This is a massive, dangerous mistake. Suppression is not Stoicism. Suppression is building a psychological time bomb. If you just shove your anger down into the dark, it will eventually explode and destroy your life, your health, and your relationships. True Stoicism requires immense courage because it requires you to make the unconscious conscious. It requires shadow work. When a wave of intense anxiety, jealousy, or anger hits you, the Stoic beginner does not suppress it, nor does he blindly lash out. He observes it. He steps back into the seat of pure awareness, separates himself from the emotion, and interrogates it. He asks himself, why does this external event have so much immense power over me? What unhealed part of my psyche is this person reflecting back to me? Am I really angry at this stranger? Or am I insecure about my own status? You must understand a brutal truth. The people who trigger you the most are your greatest teachers. They are pointing a bright spotlight exactly at the cracks in your psychological armor. They are showing you the exact areas of your mind that are still enslaved. Once you use Stoicism to investigate your own triggers with cold, objective logic, the shadow loses its power. The emotional buttons disappear. And when the buttons disappear, the world can no longer push them. You become untouchable. If you forget everything else in this script, if you forget the names of the emperors and the psychological theories, you must engrave this single, defining concept into the deepest fibers of your brain. It is the beating heart of Stoicism. It is the primary weapon in your arsenal. It is called the dichotomy of control. Epictetus stated it with flawless, brutal clarity. Some things are in our control, and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. Look at your life. Look at your stress, your sleepless nights, your anxiety, and your misery. It all comes from a simple, tragic mathematical error. You are investing 90% of your psychological energy into things that are completely, mathematically outside of your control. You stress about the macroeconomic climate. You agonize over what your coworkers think of your new project. You panic about whether your partner might lose interest in you. You rage at the traffic jam that is making you late. You obsess over the past, which is gone, and you dread the future, which does not exist yet. None of these things belong to you. You do not control the stock market. You cannot control the microscopic neural pathways inside someone else's brain that formulate their opinion of you. You cannot control the weather, the flow of traffic, or the passage of time. When you try to control the uncontrollable, you are fighting a war against reality itself, and reality remains undefeated. You will experience immense anxiety, and you will ultimately, inevitably, fail. The Stoic takes a metaphorical sword and ruthlessly divides the world into two distinct columns. Column A, what I control. This is my domain. This includes my judgments, my daily discipline, my effort, my character, my integrity, how I treat people, and how I respond to adversity. This is the only place I have true power. Column B, what I do not control. This includes the weather, the economy, the past, the future, the opinions of others, the actions of others, illness, death, and crucially, the outcome of my own efforts. The beginner Stoic makes a radical, violent shift in their psychological focus. They take all the energy, all the worry, and all the obsession they used to waste pouring into column B, and they redirect it entirely, with laser-like focus, into mastering column A. Think of the Stoic archer. The archer can control how much he practices. He can control the tension of the bowstring. He can control his breathing, his stance, and his focus. He can control the exact moment he releases the arrow. That is all column A. But the absolute second the arrow leaves the bow, it enters column B. A sudden gust of wind could blow it off course. The target could move. The arrow could shatter. The outcome is not up to him. Therefore, the Stoic archer does not tie his emotional stability to hitting the target. He ties his emotional stability to shooting the best possible shot. If you lose your business, the loss of the business is out of your control. The market shifted. It is column B, but your response to it, whether you collapse into depression, hit the bottle, and give up, or whether you view it as a massive learning opportunity to build an even stronger business, is entirely in column A. It belongs to you. When you focus exclusively on your own actions and judgments, you become psychologically invincible. Because nobody can ever stop you from exercising your own will. To deepen your Stoic practice, you must understand how your brain creates suffering. The world does not inherently cause you pain. Your interpretation of the world causes you pain. This brings us to the Stoic concept of the discipline of assent. We live in two realities simultaneously. There is the objective reality, the raw, undeniable facts of physics and biology, and then there is the subjective reality, the stories, the narratives, and the judgments we layer on top of those facts. Let's look at an example. You send a text message to someone you are romantically interested in. Hours go by, and they do not reply. Objective reality, a collection of pixels was transmitted from your device to their device. A certain amount of time has elapsed. No pixels have been transmitted back. That is all that has actually happened in the physical universe. It is completely neutral. There is no pain in those facts. But what does your untrained reactive mind do? It instantly generates a chaotic subjective reality. Your mind starts spinning a story. They are ignoring me. They think I'm desperate. I said the wrong thing. They are probably talking to someone better. I am unlovable. I am going to end up alone. You are not suffering because they didn't text back. You are suffering because of the horrifying, dramatic movie your brain just produced and forced you to watch. You have assented or agreed to a false, destructive narrative. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Remove the judgment, and you have removed the thought I am hurt. Remove the thought I am hurt, and the hurt itself is removed. The discipline of assent is the practice of catching your brain in the act of storytelling and brutally cutting it off. When an event happens, the Stoic strips away all the dramatic adjectives, all the paranoid assumptions, and all the emotional baggage. They strip the event down to its bare, naked, objective facts. When you lose your job, the story is, "My life is over, I am a failure, I will be homeless." The objective fact is, "I am no longer employed at this location. I have X amount of money in the bank. I need to send out resumes." By stripping away the subjective story, you destroy the panic. You reclaim your logic. You realize that events are just events. They are neither good nor bad until you slap a label on them. Stop labeling things as catastrophes, and you will stop feeling catastrophic. As you relentlessly practice the dichotomy of control and the discipline of assent, you slowly begin to build an invisible, psychological fortress. Marcus Aurelius called this the inner citadel. Imagine a massive, impenetrable fortress constructed of dark stone, situated in the absolute center of your mind. Outside the towering walls of this fortress, a chaotic war is raging. The economy is collapsing. People are lying about you. Rumors are spreading. Your enemies are plotting. You are facing physical illness. And the world is tearing itself apart. But inside the walls of the citadel, there is absolute, deafening silence. There is perfect peace. There is an unshakable stillness. The Stoic trains himself to retreat into this citadel at a moment's notice. He realizes that the screaming and the violence outside the walls cannot actually touch him. Only his judgment about those events can touch him. If someone calls you a failure, the word failure is literally just a sound wave moving through the air, vibrating against your eardrum. It is harmless. It cannot penetrate the walls of the citadel. It can only hurt you if you voluntarily lower the drawbridge, invite the word inside the walls, and agree with it. But true Stoicism, high-level, elite Stoicism, goes one step further than simply defending against the bad things. It teaches us to actually, genuinely love them. This brings us to the profound, almost terrifying principle of amor fati, the love of fate. The weak man wishes that life was easy. He prays for a life with no challenges, no heartbreak, no financial ruin, and no resistance. He wants to float down a gentle river. But the Stoic knows that a life without resistance creates a soft, weak, pathetic mind. A muscle that encounters no resistance atrophies and dies. A small fire is blown out by the wind, but a massive, raging fire uses the exact same wind as fuel to burn even brighter and hotter. Amor fati means that you do not just grudgingly accept the hardships of life, you actively, aggressively embrace them. When you face a catastrophic failure, a brutal breakup, or a severe setback, you do not look up at the sky and whine, "Why is this happening to me? This isn't fair." Instead, you smile. You look at the obstacle and you say, "Good. This is exactly what I needed. This is the heavy weight my character needed to grow stronger. This is the fire that will burn away my weaknesses." Every single obstacle becomes the path forward. Every enemy becomes your personal sparring partner, testing your reflexes. Every tragedy becomes the raw fuel for your profound transformation. When you truly love your fate, when you decide that everything that happens to you is the best possible thing that could have happened to you, nothing can ever defeat you. You have figured out how to metabolize poison and turn it into power. There is one final conceptual pillar we must construct before we move to the daily protocols. It is a concept that modern society is terrified of, yet it is the ultimate source of Stoic clarity. It is memento mori, remember that you must die. Modern humans spend their entire lives pretending they are immortal. We avoid thinking about death, talking about death, or acknowledging our own biological expiration date. We live as though we have an infinite amount of time to apologize to our loved ones, to start that business, to get in shape, and to become the men we are supposed to be. Because we think we have infinite time, we waste it. We waste hours arguing with strangers on the internet. We hold on to petty grudges for decades. We stay in miserable relationships and dead-end jobs because we think we can always change it tomorrow. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." The Stoic keeps the terrifying, beautiful reality of death at the very forefront of his mind. He knows that he is a dying man. He knows that this current breath could literally be his last. When you truly internalize memento mori, all the superficial nonsense of your life instantly evaporates. Are you really going to waste your limited, precious heartbeats being angry that someone cut you off in traffic? Are you really going to spend a day of your brief existence feeling insecure about a comment someone made about your clothes? Death is the ultimate filter for your priorities. It forces you to live with terrifying urgency and profound gratitude. When you realize that every time you see your parents, it could be the last time, you treat them differently. When you realize that every sunset could be your final sunset, you actually look at it. Let the shadow of death walk beside you, not to make you depressed, but to wake you up from your zombified existence. Philosophy without relentless execution is just intellectual entertainment. It is mental masturbation. To actually rewire your neural pathways and become a Stoic, you must treat this like brutal martial arts for your mind. It requires daily, aggressive, uncompromising practice. You do not become a Stoic by reading. You become a Stoic by doing. Here is the exact, step-by-step protocol to begin implementing this framework today. 1. The morning practice, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Do not touch your phone when you wake up. Do not flood your brain with dopamine. Start your day by sitting in total silence for 3 minutes and actively, vividly imagining everything that could possibly go wrong today. Imagine the traffic jam making you late. Imagine your boss screaming at you unfairly. Imagine a client canceling a massive deal. Imagine someone spilling coffee on your favorite shirt. You do this not to be a pessimist, but to mentally inoculate your nervous system. You are putting on your psychological armor before you walk onto the battlefield. When you prepare for the chaos in advance, you are never caught off guard. When the disaster actually strikes at 2 p.m., you do not panic. Your heart rate does not spike. You simply smile internally and say, "I was expecting you. I am already prepared for this." 2. The space between. The 90-second rule neuroscience tells us that the initial chemical rush of an emotion, the cortisol of stress or the adrenaline of anger, only lasts about 90 seconds in your bloodstream. If you are still angry after 90 seconds, it is because you have chosen to keep thinking the thoughts that re-trigger the chemical release. When a crisis hits, or someone aggressively insults you, you must implement a hard physical pause. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. Do not send the angry text message. Do not open your mouth to shout back. Give your highly evolved, logical prefrontal cortex 90 seconds to override your primitive, reactive amygdala. In that crucial space, retreat to the inner citadel and ask yourself, is this in my control? Is this objective reality or my subjective story? Does this truly deserve to destroy my peace? 3. Voluntary discomfort. Modern comforts are making you incredibly soft. The air conditioning, the instant food delivery, the ergonomic chairs, they are turning you into a fragile creature that cannot handle adversity. You must intentionally, purposefully inject micro-hardships into your daily life to remind your nervous system that you are the master, not the slave. Take a freezing cold shower every single morning. Fast for 24 hours once a month. Sleep on the hard floor for a night instead of your comfortable bed. Leave your phone at home and walk for an hour in silence. Underdress slightly in the cold weather. When you routinely and voluntarily expose yourself to discomfort, the involuntary discomforts of life completely lose their power to terrify you. You expand your comfort zone by stepping outside of it on purpose. 4. The evening review, the ruthless. You cannot improve what you do not measure. At the end of the day, before you go to sleep, sit down with a journal and ruthlessly audit your own actions. You must be your own harshest critic and your own best coach. Ask yourself 3 specific questions. Where did I fail today? Where did I lose my temper? Where did I gossip? Where did I react to things in column B? Where did I succeed today? Where did I successfully hold my inner citadel? Where did I practice restraint? What will I do better tomorrow? The Stoic is a perpetual student of his own behavior. He does not judge himself with toxic, paralyzing shame. He evaluates himself with cold, surgical, objective logic, aiming for incremental daily improvement. Stoicism is not a trendy life hack. It is not a quick fix for a bad mood. It is a lifelong, grueling commitment to the hardest, most profoundly rewarding work a human being can ever undertake. It is the conscious, violent decision to stop being a helpless, reactive passenger in your own life, and to kick the door open, take the wheel, and drive. The crowd will continue to panic. The media will continue to peddle fear. The economy will fluctuate. People will betray you, and the world will continue to be unfair, unpredictable, and fiercely chaotic. You cannot change a single bit of that. But you can change the man who walks through it. You can stop being the leaf blown around by the wind, and you can become the mountain. You can build the impenetrable inner citadel. You can stop outsourcing your emotional stability to people who do not even care about you. And you can take radical, uncompromising ownership of your own mind. You can strip away the subjective illusions, separate what you control from what you don't, and learn to love the crushing weight of your own fate. This is the path of the Stoic. It is not for the weak. It is not for those who want an easy life. But it is the only path that leads to true, unshakable freedom. Step into the quiet. Observe your mind. Take control.